This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215. Follow us on X and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or you can email via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. It's done. I've said it all, and I have arrived. So last week, you may recall, I was setting myself up for a night of Kiss on, not a night of Kiss. If anyone's tuning in for the first time, I don't mean a night of Kiss. That's not how I describe a sort of love nest. No. I'm on about Kiss, the band, were doing their last ever gig in New York, and it was, I went pay-per-view.
Yes.
How much?
It wasn't much. It was about 16 or 17 quid.
For all the family, bargain.
Yeah, I could have got everyone in the street in the house. Well, they wouldn't have come.
I was going to say, good luck with that.
Well, they might have come. People might have come to see what my house looked like.
Well, like a sort of photo of the coronation in the 50s.
Yeah.
Of everyone crammed around the one TV to watch Kiss.
Exactly. Well, my son in particular, Paws, is mad about Kiss, but I've come to love them as well. And I first saw them in 76 at the Birmingham Odeon.
That is mad.
And some of the stuff's still there.
Well, including the hair.
Yeah,
They still got it.
Well, they had a countdown. They had a big countdown to the broadcast, which was quite exciting. We literally, because Kat stayed up as well for about 3 songs, but Kat stayed up. So we did the countdown out loud, and then we realised it was a countdown to a 15-minute countdown. And then there was 45 minutes of people being amongst the crowd and stuff. There was a lot of "Are you having a good time?" broadcasting going on, which is the worst broadcasting of all. I would rather people came on and dealt personal abuse to me down the camera than went, "You having a good time?" I just wish people would just go, "Well, I don't know yet, really."
I always feel like American crowds they've got such an endless reservoir of good time.
Yeah.
That in order to open the taps to this reservoir, you have to shout and encourage it.
But it's not just an American thing. There's lots of it goes on.
Oh,
over
no,
here.
we're
But
guilty as well. It's the charity concert as well. I mean, I love a charity concert, but it does happen.
Yeah.
Are you having a good time?
I would say, though, the difference is that in America, there's this infinite reservoir of that, and you want to open those taps. Whereas in the UK, if you ask too many times, you've used the reservoir. The taps have run dry.
Well, I don't know about you.
People are angry now.
I would never go to the audience halfway through a gig and say, "Are you finding this funny?" If they aren't, they're going to have to keep that to themselves.
Well, it's the first rule of law, isn't it? Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Well, if I can hear them,
Yeah.
and it's laughter, I'll just assume it. There'll be people who aren't having a good time, but I don't want 20 voices in a 1,000-seater going, "No, not really." That'll be enough to ruin it for me.
Would you ever do a rhetorical one and sort of say, "Are you laughing?" and sort of raise a hand?
No.
No, not that either.
Would you
No,
have a countdown?
I think large gatherings of people where they're raising hands is something that's failed in the past.
I don't like that, no. Would you have a countdown, Frank? I'd like that. 10, 9, 8.
I suppose my walk-on music is a sort of a countdown, but it doesn't last long because I always think I'll be back in the bar if I don't get out quick. So, anyways, it was the same show that me and Buzz saw in Birmingham earlier in the year, but still tremendous. Gene Simmons spat fire and gobbed out blood.
Oh.
Gene Simmons, the bass player, is got a
Is that just an age thing?
Touching family Christmas scene round at yours.
Well, it's interesting that because there was a rumour back in the day that he had a cow's tongue grafted onto his tongue. But I don't know if you've ever seen a cow's tongue in isolation. It's like the size of a laptop.
Yeah.
No one is going to have that grafted on. And if they did, they wouldn't be singing or even playing bass.
Or even asking if you're having a good time.
No, well, he didn't. I don't think the band. Oh, actually, maybe. Paul, you remember Paul, who swings above the crowd?
Paul is my absolute favourite.
Yeah, he still did that. I thought, is this at the end of it? The health and safety must have thought, we've done it. We've gone through it.
Just the crane slowly moved over to an ambulance.
But he's still swinging above the crowd just on a metal ring with no harness, no support, no wires connected to him.
I have a question for you. What snacks, I'm thinking of one in particular, did you have laid out for the concert?
Well, we did have some tackies. Yeah, but we had. I had some healthier stuff, stuff that isn't really snacks.
Late at night for a tacky.
Lentil crisps. Boz had chocolate.
Lentil crisps while watching the Kiss concert. I love it.
It was pretty, yeah. But you know what? That's what rock stars are all like now. But there was odd stuff. I'm going to be straight with you.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Oh, I thought you said, "Will you be my girl?" at the end. That's the In Excess one, isn't it?
No, he says, yeah.
Yeah, he said, "I'm happy with yeah." Where would rock be without yeah? Anyway, that was Lenny Kravitz with "Are You Gonna Go My Way?" ?
Not in that scarf.
We had to mention the scarf.
Frank, I'm sorry.
A lot of questions in rock. You go my way, or you having a good time?
Boz cried at the Kiss thing because it's their last ever gig, and when they played "Do You Love Me," he cried. I think because he does, but he also cried. There's a very weird thing that happens in a Kiss gig. Kiss's first hit wasn't really a Kiss song. It was the drummer of the time, who I think then was a bloke called Peter Criss. He wears cat makeup. The rest wear exciting demon stuff, and he's a cat at the back. Anyway, they brought him on to do a song of his own at the gigs called Beth. And it's all about, Beth, I love you. It's one of those when he sits with a tiny piano. They found him some piano from Toys R Us to sit at. And the current cat, who's a bloke called Eric Singer, confusingly.
Does the cat identity get traded between that?
So if someone leaves,
the cat mantle gets inherited.
Yeah, I think Paul and Gene own the identities.
Yeah, of Kiss generally.
They own the band, basically. The rest are hired hands.
A rotating cast of cats.
But I think the original ones gave up. They didn't think it was worth it much.
The cat identity? What is it? The cat identity?
Yeah, so they sort of. I think they sold it or something for cheap. I'm not sure about that. If there's anyone who's any Kiss historians.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think they got bought out because they thought, why are we dressed like goth clowns?
Yeah, and also Kiss went through a whole period mid-career of not having makeup. Not wearing it.
Really?
Yeah, it was horrible.
Well, I went through that. It was horrible.
Yeah. It didn't last long, though, did it? They stuck it out
and
for a few years.
don't recommend it, Kiss. I really don't.
Well, it didn't suit them, and if they weren't doing it now. Anyway, so he came on and played Beth, sitting next to his little piano, and Boz cried at that.
Yeah.
Hang on, is he dressed as the cat one?
Of course, he's the cat.
Yeah.
Boz does have a cat allergy. It could have just been that. But oh man, so yeah, it was lovely. It was a lovely dads and lads things. But then at the end, two things happened. First of all, they always play out to "God Gave Rock and Roll" to you, and which is it's a cover version. The original was Argent, was it, or something? Anyway. So when you walk out, when the fans go and collect their souvenir confetti, which has covered the entire auditorium or whatever, that plays. But at this gig they played it, and suddenly this incredible thing. Basically, they've gone the ABBA route and had Kiss. Well, they're called avatars. Oh. They're probably called abattoirs. Might be a bit close to abattoir. Yeah, they've got into an abattoir. Kiss.
You don't want that with the cat on stage. No. It's not appropriate.
Now, once they smell the What is it that animals smell and know that other animals are being executed?
Blood, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were going to have a really good chemical pheromazone or something.
Anyway, so they've gone down the holographic.
Yeah. So they're going to now to like ABBA.
Oh wow!
Virtual kiss.
How are they going to do the spinning round?
But I'm just going to hurry this because the producer's looking at me daggers.
Oh yeah.
Then Gene Simmons came off stage, still in makeup and everything, and the woman said, "How did it go?" And he said, "Oh man, I've got a bladder stone right there now. I need to go and pass it." He said, right in the end, and then he said he used a Yiddish word to describe his gentleman's excuse me. And then someone said, Gene, this is being recorded. He went, it's like a terrible a bladder stone. What kind of a finale is that?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Stupid girl.
Oh yeah.
Garbage. I'm just coming up with nicknames for these pair.
Quite happy with that. Frank, Christopher John Stephen.
Oh yeah.
I like that. I don't know why. It sounds like
he might have had a best friend was a bear.
Yes.
I would have gone with American Assassin.
God, I had a bear incident this week. Awkward.
Did you go to that club again? I thought you'd moved from the Vauxhall area.
Awkward bear incident. I was in a car and the driver, just like Uber, and the driver said something about blah, blah, football. And he said, yeah, I'm from Peru. And so I came here in the blah, blah, and it was a struggle at first. And then I sort of found a place. I said, it's a similar story to Paddington Bear.
Frank, that's quite rude.
Is he?
Yeah.
He said there are no bears in Peru. I said, what? I'm just saying it was. He said, why is it a bear? There are no bears there.
You accidentally hit this guy's...
Yeah, he said, if it had been a... And then he said...
He said to a Peruvian, yes, you remind me of Paddington.
No, I said you had a similar experience. And he said, if it had been a puma... It would have made more sense. I thought, no, it wouldn't. You can't have a puma living in a house with children. But you're a bear, to be fair. Is
also,
dangerous.
You can't have a puma wearing a duffel coat.
No.
It's the wrong look.
Puma in a duffel coat.
I
know. It's serious.
How many times a day do you think he gets that?
I wouldn't have thought.
Someone says, I moved here from Peru and had found it hard to find somewhere to live. He must get it constantly. He's expecting sympathy, and every time people just go, like that bear.
Do you think he gets it a lot, really?
Well, if he will hang out outside Paddington Station all the time,
I didn't
what does he
think that.
expect?
With his hat full of sandwiches.
I feel bad.
I bet he wears a hat and plays on it a bit.
It's got a red beanie on and a blue jacket going, why? It's just clothes. It's just clothes.
I can't believe you're making this Paddington reference.
But it'd be called Paddington Puma as well. It sounds like Sir Geoffrey Paddington Puma will be here this afternoon. No, who knew? It was so easy to say the wrong thing to people.
I thought you couldn't go wrong with some Paddington chat.
Yeah, it's lovely that people usually smile, It's just such a warm-hearted thing.
So they don't have
I'll
bears.
send him some marmalade.
Just furious, smashing the glass against the wall.
Whatever happened to the customer is always right. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
Did they not have bears in Peru then?
That's what he said. No bears in Peru. He said Puma was his first choice. He said if it had been a llama, it would have been all right.
Well,
he said, but there are no bears.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to disagree with him. We can't have a llama in a duffel coat either.
Spitting at the children. Spitting at Mrs. Brown.
It looked like a hooligan. Llama in a duffel coat spitting on the
Also,
street.
too tall for houses, llamas.
But bears, actual bears, are enormous, aren't they?
Yeah, Paddington never grew.
No.
Stayed.
I think they gave him injections. I remember that. It was like an addendum in one of the books. Appendix.
Mrs. Brown insisted.
Appendix. growth reduction injections, it was called. It was all about Paddington had to go to the doctors. Yeah. Anyway, a little tip: if a driver ever says I'm from Peru, get your trap shut.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Christopher John Stephen, you may recall.
Yeah, sorry, I got into an Uber halfway through his text.
It happens. Christopher John Stephen has messaged us regarding your viewing of the Kiss concert. He has a suggestion: Kiss version of avatars. What about kissograms?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it could be confusing.
Why?
I mean, Gene Simmons would do a kissogram if the money was right.
Yes.
He bought out a solo album. There was a thing when he bought a solo album, he bought one out and he said that he would deliver it personally to people's homes for something like $20,000.
That's insane.
I mean, you know, I told you his symbol is like a sat with a $sign on it. That's he's copyrighted that symbol. You know what I told you last week?
I think he's copyrighted the dollar symbol and cats.
But, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo has copyrighted CR7 because that's his number and all that stuff. But to copyright a bag of money with a $sign on it is something really horrible about that.
There's something Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah. So you can get Gene Simmons vodka, which comes in a bottle that's the shape of a money bag with $1 on the side of it.
For goodness sake.
I know. Listen, I want to ask you something. I did the Chris Evans show a couple of weeks ago, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. And I met a lady on there. And she's a mate of our producers, Sarah. What's she called? Jane. I believe they call her Aussie Jane for, you know, obvious reasons. She's Australian. But she collects second-hand jigsaws.
Oh, right.
And I said, that is the most optimistic hobby I've ever heard of in my life. And I asked her, I put her on the spot. I don't think this wasn't on air, I don't think. But I said, what is the percentage of second-hand jigsaws that are incomplete? She said, I reckon complete ones about 3 in 10.
Really?
That's low.
Yeah.
And I had low expectations.
Yeah, I would assume everyone had got. That's why it went to the second-hand shop, because a piece had gone missing. How do pieces from jigsaws even go missing?
Dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
They're terrible at jigsaws.
Yeah, they are.
And in their
rubbish.
frustration, they throw pieces away.
But, you know, there is such a level of trust, and trust, let's face it, is almost disappeared. I always feel a bit sick at that bit on Countdown when during the maths thing you have to show your bit of paper to the other person to show that you weren't just copying. You didn't just say, oh yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Did you? Well, show him your bit of paper. Oh, this, just trust me. And often the person won't even look at the paper. Just say, no, I trust you, honestly. No, look at the paper. Oh. People used to trust each other, didn't they?
It's all gone now, Frank.
Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Anyway, here is a thing. I watched a film. You know, I never watch films all the way through, but Boz said I'd like to watch a Christmas film. So the way I sort a film out now is I go on, say, I don't know, whatever it is, Netflix, Sky Cinema, and go, 88 minutes, that sounds good.
Is that how you select?
Yeah, that's how I choose my films nowadays.
Well, there are.
Do you think there's a place for me in the commode? Who was he? Who's the other one?
Oh, I can't ever remember.
Simon Mayo.
Yeah, he works here.
Commode
Oh, God,
Mayo.
don't tell. He doesn't hear about that. Remember, I'm an old man, Commander. Anyway,
Frank, there are some content websites where they will helpfully list the length of the article, won't they? They'll see 3-minute read or 7-minute read.
I never read a whole article on anything.
No.
Never.
But what would you
I
go
do 3 paragraphs, maybe. I can't remember the last time in a newspaper or magazine I've got to the end of an article.
You just sort of go, I get it.
Well, yeah, I've got it now. I've got the kernel of it.
I suppose there are very rarely suddenly twists at the end of a piece of journalism.
Well, it could be, but, I can live without them. Anyway, what we ended up watching was Santa Bodies, The Legend of Santa Paws.
Oh, my word.
Oh, that's like from Kiss, isn't it?
It's a talking dog based movie.
This sounds like a tax write-off movie.
This sounds like I'm in.
Well, apparently it's a franchise, The Bodies.
No.
Is it?
And they are a group of talking dogs. I think it's done in post. I'll be straight with you.
Can I just say, is this...
But they love a post. They're fascinated by them. Sorry, you were saying.
Is this animated or...
No.
Because I have a very low tolerance
No,
for the
I'll tell you
animated.
who was in it. Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, I like him.
Christopher Lloyd, you wouldn't like him in this. He's an evil dog catcher.
Oh.
Keeps them in squalid conditions.
I've gone right off him.
And doesn't like Christmas.
Oh, he's going up in my estimation.
Doesn't like, and hold on, his name is Stan, wait for it, Scrooge.
Now hold on. That's
Ring any Christmas bell.
There's a faint memory
Yeah.
in my mind.
But, so we watched this, one of the dogs is called Buddha in The Bodies.
Is that okay, Frank? Do you
I
think?
don't know about that.
How would you feel if it was your...
If
I mean,
it was
I
called
call
Pope
my-
Francis, I wouldn't be that glad about it.
Do you think there's a Buddhist monk somewhere saying, there are no dogs in Tibet?
Well,
I'm
Yeah.
sick of people
Yeah, but
asking about this.
I've never got in an Uber driven by a Buddhist monk to this day. Well, you don't want to say, if he says, where are we going, you think, this is going to be a long conversation. Anyway.
Raymond's Tibetan.
Yeah, there's a dog called Buddha, and it says things like namaste and talks about, like, karma.
I'm very well-rounded, non-cliched.
Yeah, exactly. But it was...
Karma and namaste.
It's sort of implying that if it was the Buddha, he's screwed up so badly he's been reincarnated as a dog, which is an enormous punishment.
I suppose, is he? They looked happy enough. To me, they're all kept by very rich children. The bodies, fabulous
are they?
houses they lived in.
Well, the bodies have done well for themselves.
If anyone
They were
else
nice in a
knows,
former
if anyone
life.
else has seen a bodies thing, I'd love to. When you're watching a do you ever get this? I was watching this, a rubbish film. I was watching it, and it's like being in a dysfunctional relationship. You should get out, but you just keep going with it. Oh, man.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
Anyway, this is Frank Skinner. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. Text the show on 81215. Follow us on X and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Okay. Oh, I should say, by the way, I had a lovely gift arrive. Do you know that I sometimes play on this show Jodie and the Germs? Does that ring any bells with you? Well, Robert, the keyboard player from Jodie and the Germs, has written a new book. And so he sent me a copy of that, which is and he's written in biro on a printed thing, Merry Christmas, ! Nice. So I think you guys would like this book. It's called Damp Squids and Card Sharks, and it's about sort of, it says a compendium of commonly confused phrases. So, for example, I'm opening at random, chomping at the bit. It's champing. Trust me, that is literally what horses do. They grind their teeth together and champ, 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 champ. And so not chomp.
Do you know, I love this book already.
Yeah. Well,
You know what the young people would say? Love Islanders would say? It's a little bit of me.
yeah, well, this This bit ends. Don't start telling me that you Googled it and found millions of hits for chomping at the bit.
Oh.
And in fact, more hits than for champing at the bit, because then I would tell you that in 1933, millions more people voted for Hitler than any other candidate. Does that make them right?
It sounds a bit like you, Frank.
It sounds a bit like all of us, I think. But
I wasn't expecting Hitler to pop up.
I wasn't.
In the
I
phrase
wasn't.
book.
So there's several.
I love her, this person.
Disinterested, of course, is a big deal one. You know that
yes,
one?
that was my dad's big bugbear.
Oh,
Uninterested and disinterested.
Yeah.
Don't
If you're
get it wrong.
disinterested, you don't stand to gain anything from it.
Yeah.
If you're uninterested, you're not bothered. I think that's a fair summary.
May you remind me of the name of this book again, please?
You can. It's called Damp Squids and Card Sharks.
Okay.
I think the point being that it's damp squibs and card sharps.
Yes.
Is this okay? I'm
So
all right.
even in the title, we are being reprimanded. We live in the age of the reprimand.
I think that's true.
I
yeah.
feel that most people I talk to now tell me off 4 or 5 times. It is though the age of the. If I were to symbolise the first quarter of the 21st century, it would be a 3D wagging finger.
Yes. It'd be a calloused tip of the nose from all the times. that it's been-
Yes, I think the stained glass window for this would read "Shame on you."
Yeah.
Yeah, hands on hips, frowning.
Oh,
Now listen, David Ivor Price.
David Ivor. We've all got a price, David. Don't feel bad about it.
A person who collects jigsaws is a dissectologist,
Is that right?
as early jigsaws were dissected maps. Were you aware of that?
No.
Why were they being dissected?
Boredom. Long
Well, clears
voyages.
that up.
Barring Bardem. That
Maybe
was,
hiding treasure chests and things. That's quite a classic reason to cut up
Oh,
a
yeah,
map.
cut up a map, yeah, for the big treasure, and then a bit goes to Pew,
Oh.
a bit goes to
I wouldn't do-
Allen.
I wouldn't do a geographical jigsaw. They bore me.
Well, I met a jigsaw enthusiast and asked her if she'd ever done a white one, and she said, I did one that was just blue, and I thought, no, I could never. Why?
I don't like those ones.
Just
No.
turn it over.
What's
Yeah.
my favourite jigsaw?
Do one that's just grey?
Yeah.
Frank, guess what my favourite jigsaw is?
Your favourite jigsaw? Is it,
Is that a weird question?
Bronte country?
No, but you know what? I'm going to write that one down because I think there is a Bronte.
No, I saw one the other day.
There must be.
World of Dogs.
World
It's
of
got all the
Dogs.
breeds. A little fact about them. Second favourite, World of Shakespeare.
I was on the one show with Claire Balding not long ago.
Love Balding.
And she plugged her new dog book,
Read it.
which is called
Isle of Dogs.
Yes. Now, what I meant to ask her and forgot, is it a pun?
Yes. Surely.
On
Yes, because having read the book,
Yeah.
I'm assuming she doesn't explain the pun. That's not Balding's way.
No, but I think it's a double pun, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming it's because we are the British Isles and are obsessed by dogs. Sorry, I'm sounding a bit Nigel Farage, but you know what I mean? We are the British Isles.
Yeah.
Is it Isle as in we
Well,
the
there is
island?
a place called the Isle of
And
Dogs,
there's Isle of
obviously.
Dogs.
No, but I think there's a... Isn't it
Oh.
I
I
love
Love Dogs?
Oh, Frank,
Yeah.
I didn't even get that.
I don't know if Claire's got it.
I
You need
love
to-
dogs.
you need to ring
I'm
up
going to
the
ask
PI,
her.
yeah.
Do you know her? Ask her if
get
that
in
was
there.
part of the pond triangle. That if Isle of Dogs, because we are an island that loves dogs, and there's a place called Isle of Dogs, and I love dogs.
Frank,
Triple.
I think that's very clever. I didn't even realise
I am
that.
very clever.
Do you know you are?
Yeah. Yeah, it can be a burden.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've got some missives I'd like to share with you
Right.
from...
What
some-
about if you just read out now Merry Christmas thing card? I saw Gene Pitney live. Do you know Gene Pitney? No. Gene Pitney was an
I
American
do.
singer. Something's got a hold of my heart.
Oh, that's a great song.
Anyway, I saw when I was a kid. He headlined at Sunday night at the London Palladium. The big variety show of the week everyone watched was Sunday night at the London Palladium, live show, and they used to get American stars to headline it. And as a kid, I was allowed to. Well, I never sent to bed. I was up till all hours when I was a kid. But anyway, I watched it, and he sang at the end. And when the crowd was applauding, he leaned into the mic and said, "Now that's what I call singing." Brilliant. Anyway, I saw him live at the Palladium on one of them Sunday night Palladium shows, and about getting on for 15 minutes of the show was him reading out all the cards that he'd got in his dressing room. This is from Susan from Bob, and she said, "Jean, I'm really looking forward to seeing." It was like, you know, when they read out too many cards at a wedding, you think, "Oh, just do a Sue song. Don't do them all."
Don't read all the
like
people that can't be here.
It was that.
That's proper mad dictator behaviour.
Yeah, I know. 24 hours from Tulsa. Did you know that one?
I have.
Oh, yes.
Dearest darling.
Was he a bit Orbison-y? He had that vibe. I liked him.
I liked him. I don't like him as much as I like the Big O. But I mean, that's a personal thing I don't talk about on Breakfast Radio.
Are you going to start ending sets by saying, "No, that's what I call stand-up"?
Yeah, no. I'm not.
Frank, I hate
People
that.
sometimes ask me if that's what I call stand-up.
Frank, don't you hate that thing at weddings when they tell
I
you
don't
who
hate
couldn't-
anything. My life's all about love.
Well, this is going to be a short show.
I mean, we live in a society where it's easier to say I hate than it is I love. What's gone wrong? 8, 12, 15.
The
Sorry.
show's taken a strange turn.
I'm sorry, darling.
I hate that bit at weddings, Frank, when they read out who can't be here. Well, you should have
Yeah.
turned up.
Yeah. It's like when you go to a shop and you're at the counter physically and they answer the phone to someone who isn't there. What, eh? There's got to be some precedent for actual physical presence.
Sometimes you go to the shop and they're on the phone the entire time throughout the business transaction,
Don't like.
parting with money.
They shouldn't even have a phone. That's my thought.
We've had some missives. For example, these people contact us during the week. And I like
lovely.
that.
That's
They
'cause
keep it going for us.
I think a lot of them are podcast things. They don't
Yes.
get a chance to text in live.
Benny Trickett.
Yeah, Benny Trickett, for example.
I don't like you.
Yeah.
Benny Trickett, he had exactly the same experience listening on the radio with Dad. Hearing you talk about listening to Muhammad Ali on the radio.
I was
with
on
your
about,
dad.
my dad would wake me up at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'd only just gone to bed. Wake me up and say, sometimes it was Cassius Clay originally, that's how old I am. And we'd go down and listen to boxing on the radio, in the kitchen.
Well, Benny said, my dad did.
I was comparing it with getting up to watch Kiss.
The Kiss.
I mean, I went to bed. This is the most rock and roll thing I've done for years. I went to bed after the Kiss gig, looked at my phone. It was 4:28.
Oh,
Crazy.
crazy nights.
Yeah, these are crazy. Everybody.
Watching the cat. My dad did.
Then I remembered I forgot to put the cat out.
They should have litter instead of confetti at the
There might
end,
be, if you lift
falling
the lid,
into the audience.
If you lift the lid on that little piano, there might be a tray. Anyway, sorry.
My dad did exactly the same. And I stayed up to hear the Rumble in the Jungle
Oh, fabulous.
and the Thriller in Manila.
Yeah? Did he?
I was
I
only
wonder if
8
he
or 9
listened.
years old, and I love listening with my dad. So Benny enjoyed hearing about
You
it.
know, there's another one of those.
What?
There was the drama in the Bahamas.
I thought that was a holiday I went on.
It probably was. I think most of your activities begin the drama.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Anyway,
What about Mark from Cheltenham, who's contacted us with regards to Kiss and has come up with Virtual Kiss? Because he mentions the virtual avatars, similar to the ABBA shows. Is Virtual Kiss a phrase?
Virtual kiss.
I don't think so.
Okay.
What do you mean? Is it a phrase?
Well, I meant, was it some sort of a pun or something? Is it something I'm missing here?
I don't think so. Unless you can do a virtual kiss on, as a
Well, that's
Valentine's.
what I'm thinking. Or one of those sites or something. You know the ones.
Oh, not one of those. I don't. There's anything virtual about those sites, or virtuous, might I add.
The websites. That's how they like it now.
Yeah.
The websites, Frank.
Now, we've had a few occasions on
You've
this
had a few. I haven't
Wait a
had a
minute.
drink since 1986. You speak for yourself.
What you refer to as those big drinks.
Oh God, that was enormous. What do they call them again?
Pints.
Yeah. Oh, just carrying them, let alone actually consuming one. Massive. Oh, they're always wet as well. The glass is always wet. You got to try and hold on.
Enormous, heavy, soaking, massive drinks.
I feel sick. It always did. Eventually.
Yeah.
They're too big, aren't they? The
Too much
pints?
liquid.
Ridiculous.
Well, we've had a few occasions on this show where we've had to defer to the producers when it comes to new language.
Oh yeah.
Wistful, The Guardian. And I was wondering, Frank, if as a wordsmith yourself, you saw any of the new words.
Well,
words
I
of the
always
year.
look out for the new words because I'm not. Although I'm. What's the word? Old. I actually like the idea that the English language is a living, growing, expanding thing. So I love it. I don't love every new word, but every now and again there's a new word and you think, oh yeah, I like that. I'm going to embrace
Yeah.
that. I don't say things are sick, like my son says, unless...
Unless you're revolted on a moral level.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I might say it there. But I don't say, oh, wow, this looks sick. I don't say that.
I'm glad you don't say that. But I think it would be a bit funny if you said that.
Yeah.
Unless you're revolted on this Western production looks sick.
I remember a friend in Birmingham telling me he'd been going back out with his ex for a bit and hadn't told anyone because he said people can be disapproving. And I said, that the Dr. Johnson thing about a dog returning to its own vomit. So sometimes it's best not to have remarks.
No.
So just let things be. That's what I find.
Yeah.
I've gone off mic. Help me, I've gone off mic. That's all right, I'm back on. I just leaned for a second there and the whole thing went into counterbalance.
Oh, that happened.
That's a word I've just made up. Doesn't mean anything to me at all. It sounds like I know what I was talking about. Physics? Don't think so. I think the producer, judging by the fact she's pinching that fatty deposit at the back of my armpit, wants me to go to a break. And then we'll be back for
that's me
these
he's
new
talking
words from the... Is it the OED that's
It is.
belching them out?
It is.
Okay, I hope they're not doing it in any kind of promotional PR kind of way. Will there be hell to pay?
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Riz. Well, this is it. The main new word of the year for the Oxford English Dictionary is Riz. Now, have you come across this in the wild, Frank?
I hadn't. I hadn't heard of Riz. And I'm a little confused still as to what exactly it means, because I looked into it this week, and it said it was an
looked into it.
an abbreviation of charisma.
It's a long word.
But then it said that it was to do with attracting romantic partners.
Yes, it's a verb as well. You can.
But charisma is a lot. It's different from attracting.
I think it's
Yes.
it's if it does come from charisma in the middle of the word, which is unusual. I think it's from a simple a much more
Also, I think-
relations-based understanding of the word charisma as opposed to leadership.
But I think there's charisma in my mind has slightly changed in its meaning. It's got a bit darker over the years. So, do you know what I mean? It's less Ryan Gosling and more Rasputin.
Yes, you're right.
Charisma.
You're
Yes,
right, actually. The
I
cult
know
always had a charismatic leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's cult leader, isn't it?
Yes,
It's not the kind of
become-
Riz you
and
want to be.
Specifically, it's very Netflix cult leader.
Yes. He obviously rizzed up his followers, and now they all live in a compound.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
of his riz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rasputin, they would have called him in his day.
Oh, Frank, you've just accidentally named some sort of
Frank has
DJ
just-
or artist.
yeah,
there. Someone out there's got to be called Rasputin.
You've just broke the internet because that's going to go viral.
I wonder.
Rasputin, come on.
They call me Rasputin.
If
Those are lyrics now.
If I was
Yeah,
a
'cause-
DJ, that would be my name.
Yeah, because I'm attractive to my whoever my chosen sexual target is, but also somewhat slightly unsettling.
Yeah.
About me and too compelling.
Yes, and I'm immune to little poisoned cakes.
Yeah.
That would be the third.
Although I've seen that picture you showed me
Of,
of Rasputin you got from the dark
He
web.
looks cool.
I've got to be honest, it shouldn't but would.
Yeah?
I mean, he was lovely.
Is that the one where he's wearing sunglasses?
Yeah, he looks
Yeah.
great.
He does. He looks really cool.
Yeah. So,
Do you think Russian people are worried that Putin is within Rasputin? do they believe in omens or?
It's an abbreviation.
they
So
left-
his mates called him.
the clue was there all along.
It's because he's got no riz. They just call him Putin.
That's another. You've made an incredible diss track.
Well, I don't want to diss Putin.
Okay.
Anyway,
It's all coming together.
yeah.
This is a Christmas number one.
But do you know what I mean?
I'm going to call Putin no Riz now.
But going back to my original point, charisma has got a bit of a darkness to it now.
Yes,
that-
Yeah.
you're right. It has acquired something malign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yes, it seems it comes with intense eyes now, as opposed to just a general.
Why
I
do they
think
say
if
the
you watch-
syllables, though? Why save our syllables? Why can't they say charisma? Because they say it's too long, maybe.
You know, well, we're all very busy now. I like the idea of Riz for charisma, but I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. It's more directly.
Romantically linked.
How would you
Yeah.
use it in a sentence, Pierre?
You would say someone's got no riz,
Yeah.
or
if
you would say go riz. You could riz someone up if you're trying to charm them.
Frank, give it a go. See how it works for you. I think
Yeah, I'm out on the Riz tonight. How's that?
No, it's not right, Frank.
It needs to have a target.
Try it again. Try it about yourself.
Do you think
Of the
that
verb.
Rasputin's I'm out on the Riz tonight? Anastasia will be waiting. Yeah, well, saying someone's got it's so complicated now because you used to say a bit of a a ladies' man or stuff, but obviously now they're all the you can pot any poor ball you like, regardless
You
of what you
can.
potted before.
Yeah.
I think I like it. It's brief and but I like it better as a shortening of charisma. But you can't give cult leaders little punchy things like Riz as a description, I don't think, because they're not very nice, some of them.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
597. Happy charisma to you all.
Oh,
Simon of Sudbury.
Very nice.
Very good.
Can we just say Happy Riz now? Oh, that'd get too confusing.
Mary Riz.
240. What a result. In reference to your pun. I think. What
Riz.
a result. Okay.
We've set off. We've got a whole army of punners out there. They can't wait to get their claws into this.
In terms of
So
other,
can we just, before we move on,
Yes.
what does Riz mean,
Pierre.
Pierre?
Riz is to sort of charm. It is charm, and it is to charm.
But it is to do with getting romantic
partner,
partners
yes.
rather than just like me charming you.
Yes, it's romantic partners.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Right, you were saying.
Well, there's some other new words Riz's word of the year, but we've also got Swiftie for a big Taylor Swift fan.
Oh, Frank,
God.
you knew that. We've got one in the studio.
No, we used to use the word Swiftie, but they've cleaned it up a bit.
Oh,
But
Frank.
one that-
We
come
were
on.
busy.
Oh, come on, Frank.
One that I
You're
think
a
that
lovely man.
I'm just saying, when I saw that one, I thought that one's come back, has it?
one that I thought that you would be interested in is beige flag.
That's a bit
No.
rude. Yeah.
Now, here's
Do you know what
one.
that is, Frank?
Yeah, but what? Well, I don't know if I do, and I'll tell you why. Because, like I say, I'm really interested in new words, language generally, to the point of obsession. So I thought beige flag, and when I first read it, it said, so people who are boring, they sort of fly the beige flag. And I thought, I love that. Because being boring, but having some mighty standard of pride about it. Well, you might not know it's there, but even so, there's something great about it. And then I thought, oh, hold on now, can you still call people boring? Is that allowed? Is that one of the things it's fair to say about someone? Because that's more hurtful than most stuff. And then I thought of a term which explained why it was wrong to call people boring. It would be chat shaming. Anyway, am I wrong? It doesn't.
It comes from the big discourse around red flags and green flags and potential relationships.
Can you
I
tell
know
me?
red flags. I
Red-
didn't. A green
No,
flag
it's
is
not
an
that.
insurance company.
It's not that.
Oh, Frank. I know red flags.
It's not that.
I know what it is.
Oh, what is it?
It means warning signs
Yeah.
when you're getting
Oh.
involved with someone. It's red flag, so it's things to beware of. That's a red flag.
Things that may indicate a bad personality on there.
Yes.
They go, they were very rude to a waiter in
yeah,
a restaurant.
big red flag.
Oh.
And a green flag would be
An insurance company.
So a red flag for me was when that woman described Fever Pitch as a novel.
Got it.
yes, exactly. For you, that
Okay.
would be a red flag.
Okay.
For others, it may
Or
be
didn't
beige.
laugh at a
Right.
specific point in a Laurel and Hardy film.
Yes.
That's a red flag.
Or you caught them hammering a nail into a teddy's face.
Yes. That is unforgivable.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. Text the show on 8 12 15. Follow us on X, and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Okay.
Or you can write to us through, what was that thing that the post office became when it did a silly name change?
Oh, it called itself
Insignia.
Oh, very
Insignia.
good. As we said, it's a very apprentice team name.
Yeah.
Team Insignia, Sir Alan.
We've sold over 17 postcards.
So we were just talking about
Beige flag.
the beige
Beige
flag.
flag.
So you're
It's
going
not
up-
about being boring.
Not necessarily. The trait itself may be boring, but it's not the point.
But what is the trait then?
So let's say you're going out with someone, and a red flag would be if they're horrible to a waiter.
I can see that flag.
Yeah. And a green flag might be they volunteer at a charitable
So
organization. Oh, that's a nice person.
Oh, I
Is
see.
it?
Green flag is like positive.
See, I green flag emails that I want to keep
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
to go back to. But they're not necessarily nice emails. Some they think I might need in court.
Well,
They could end up being green for you.
Yeah, okay.
So a
I can
beige
kind of
flag.
get that. So a green flag means it's something to like about the person.
Yeah,
a red
so-
flag
it's
is
a
something
good
to
thing.
worry about.
Yeah.
But a beige flag,
A beige flag is a not necessarily positive or negative, but still noteworthy trait, like ironing your socks or always
So,
always
a
asking
trait.
always asking for something to be changed on your order when you order food in a restaurant.
what it means they're pernickety.
No, it's just a quirk. It's a quirk.
I'm not happy with beige flag.
The reason it became a
phrase.
disgrace.
No, I loved the concept.
The phrase has got so much potential, but when you dig a little deeper, there is nothing.
rubbish.
The
there.
reason it
It's like
It's
a
absolute
souffle.
rubbish.
Well, the reason that a lot of debate exploded online about beige flags is that people were offering up beige flags that many other people took to be red or green.
Oh, I see. So if your beige flag was being cruel to animals, it
then
should have been red.
Oh,
people
I
will go,
see.
what do you mean beige?
Yeah.
There was one I saw,
What's your beige flag?
my beige flag, probably
That's all gone a bit Tinder.
probably the compulsive reading. of facts and figures.
Yeah, Pierre is my fact check. So everything I say, Pierre looks at me like, I don't believe that, and Googles it.
We hear the typing.
You still think it's to do with skepticism as opposed to a desperate compulsion.
Yeah, he's keeping me honest, Mr. Holmes.
He can't help himself.
I think one of the beige...
He's a keyboard warrior.
Yeah. One of the beige flags that was being debated was a lady said her partner's beige flag was, sometimes if you're eating out at a restaurant or even at a pub, you could see what you've ordered gets put on the sort of kitchen service shelf.
I
you
think
can
you'll
see
find
it
it's
there.
called the Paws.
Yeah.
The Paws. There you go.
Oh. So it sits there on the metal counter.
And you can see it, but no one's quite getting around to bringing it to you.
Oh, yeah.
My God, it's there.
Right.
She said her partner's beige flag was that if that happens and it doesn't move quickly enough,
Please tell me he goes and gets it.
He just goes and gets
Fantastic.
it. Serves himself.
Why is that beige, though?
No,
Well,
that
this is
shouldn't
it.
be beige. It should be a more garish colour.
Everyone was saying that was a bright red flag of a food-hungry loon.
No, but
Why did she file it under beige?
She just thought it was a quirky, fun kind of, this is a fun, this is a noteworthy but completely fine thing that my partner does.
So Frank liking Doctor Who would be a beige flag.
Unless you hate Doctor Who.
I'd like to be... Yeah, it might not be.
It could be a very green
I'd like to be the flag of Gallifrey. What about if you had a beige Swiftie?
I don't like the sound of that.
Well, they're not always excited as you think they're going to be. Especially if the beige flag's at half-mast.
Frank, stop it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Okay.
What's that time?
I watched that again the other day.
It's that time of year.
It is, it's endless. And then there's like the rubbish sequel.
Oh, is there a sequel?
There's one when he's got a dog and stuff.
Well, what happens? They've done the walk in the air.
Oh, no.
Big wow. What are they going to do now? Run in the air?
I think he just stands with his arms folded and just levitates.
What, that snowman?
Yeah, that terrible snowman character.
Who the boy, of course, murders.
I was thinking about Rizzo in Greece, who is very, very attractive to young men.
Rizzo has the Riz.
Yeah, it's almost like she was named before the word came along.
Yes.
Premonition.
She's, well, see, I would say, what would you say for that, Frank? Instead of Riz, what are the phrases? I like Smoke Show, Stone Cold
Well, there was
Fox,
a few.
Remember in the 70s they'd say, she's got a bit of oomph.
You know Rizzo's thing, there are worse things I could do, you know, the song, there are worse things I could do. That could have been one of Rasputin's New Year's resolutions. No, in our sort of amour, our adventures d'amour, when I was growing up in the West Midlands, people used to talk about, I think she gave me the glad eye. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Which meant someone had given you a look that suggested there was potential.
It's quite medievally.
Is it the glad eye?
Glad eye.
It sounds like some terrible witchcraft, mate. Glad as well is an unusual.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you.
Oh, glad to see you. Yeah,
I guess, but that's quite a formal. That's what you'd say when you.
I was at
you had to discipline an employee.
I was at Polytechnic with a woman from Yorkshire, and she, if anyone gave her the glad eye, who she didn't like and thought was what Emily used to call a filthy creep. She'd say, "Oh, I don't like him. He's leet geen."
Leet geen.
Yeah, and it means sort of creepy and a bit, a bit slimy. But I'd never heard. I assume it's a general Yorkshire thing. She said, "Oh no, I don't like him. He's leet geen." Oh, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
If anyone,
She might have been saying it's late again. Scottish.
Oh yeah. If anyone,
Late again.
if there's any Yorkshire connected people, I think it would be LEET.
Yeah, leet
Geen, like green without the R. If anyone's heard of it, I'd love to find that out. Now we've gone completely linguistic. There was a very. I found myself rewriting a lot of these to try and improve them.
Yes, yeah, the comedian's instinct.
That sounds unlike you, Frank.
Because there was a thing called de-influencing.
Oh, yeah. What would you have gone for? And what we should say, de-influencing, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it says it's trying to people instead of selling people things, it's trying to stop people buying things in a more material,
sort of anti-consumer.
in a sort of a sort of a Buddhist way. You don't need all that material stuff. But you're not de-influencing them, are you? You're re-influencing them because you're giving them another influence. You're not taking influence away.
It is interesting, isn't it? Because it's such a sign that there's so many people see the word influencer as inherently meaning salesperson.
Yeah. But I thought that if your message is don't buy these things because you don't need all these material things, you could call that a Zen-dorsement.
Right. Come on.
I mean,
good.
I should be. The OED should call me up. I'll make some up.
OED should call me up.
I could do this all day. Just make up new words.
I'd love that. Frank, it's the dictionary. We're running. We've got a lot of blank
got
pages.
no new words this year.
Call Skinner.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've heard from Andy Wood,
Okay.
Bronte Country, one of our regulars, Andy.
I bet he's got the jigsaw.
Yeah. And if you weren't listening earlier, we're not being rude or anything. It was in relation to, what is it called, Frank? World of Brontes.
Bronte Country Jigsaw.
There is I think it's called Bronte World or something. It's a jigsaw.
Yeah,
I think you can get Dickens World. And,
Oh, yeah. There's all sorts.
Yeah.
813, that's his moniker that he goes by. As I'm from Barnsley originally, I'm aware that leet is the pronunciation of light.
Okay.
This is in reference to leet geen.
Leet geen, yeah, for someone who's a bit creepy.
So Andy continues, and geen would be our interpretation of given. So this lass found her glad eye giving paramours lightly given.
What does that? That's
I'll leave
not
it
the
up
same
to
as
you
creepy, is
to
it?
decipher her implications.
Oh, it's so
they're
complicated.
lightly giving their affections. They don't really mean it. They're just after one thing.
I see.
I see.
Lightly given,
they-
lightly taken.
So what you're suggesting is
Shallow.
they're after a situationship. Another
Yes.
word on the OED list.
This was another word I didn't really understand.
Using their riz to attain a situationship.
That's because you're a man of honour, Frank.
No, but I used to. I think I was doing situationships before they were called situation. But I thought these things, I thought they're supposed to be sort of shortening and making them more handleable. Situationships, one of those words you see disappearing into the distance. You know when I said I don't always finish an article in the magazine? I mean, this is a word that I'm giving up on syllable 3.
Situ and then done.
A
Sit-ship. You could have called it
situationship
a
got anything
sit-ship.
to do with Mike the situation?
Sit-ship's a bit of a tongue twister. If you want to say it 5 times quick on breakfast radio.
Yeah, I've got a question. What's the difference between a situationship and friends with benefits? And other questions I never want to ask a man.
I believe a situationship is by definition undefined. It's ambiguous, whereas friends with benefits is very much an agreed upon.
So the difference is, one, you could say,
bargain.
look, you knew what you were getting into. What?
Yeah.
Is that
I
it?
think
This is a bargain that we
I
made.
seem to remember having situationships with friends on benefits. But they were,
FOBs.
but different
Would you?
time.
I watched that sitcom, Friends on Benefits.
Yeah.
That would be good if their
I'll be
careers
there
had really
for
gone down.
you.
If their careers had gone down the
Friends
toilet,
on
the Friends reunion could have been called Friends on Benefits.
Yeah, and all live in one of the many.
peeling on the.
Anyway,
one big flat.
Anyway.
let's not sit in our ivory tower doing
No.
benefits jokes.
No, let's not.
HTTP, that's what I was talking about earlier. Has anyone ever typed in HTTP, 3 obliques or slashes as people like to call them now?
Yeah.
And all that. I saw an email address the other day for a place where you could get rid of electrical goods. You could get them recycled. And it had the full HTTP / and I thought, I might really? I'm going to type that in. I don't think so. I'll just leave them in the drawer forever.
when some people we used to say full stop instead of dot when giving a web address
Oh,
yeah.
did they?
And
for a little while till they became fluent.
I don't mind that, but HTTP ///.
Frank, Ruth Jordan, talk of Rizzo reminded me, isn't there a song from Greece that always makes Frank cry?
There is. I
what
cannot
is
sing Hopelessly Devoted to You all the way through without physically producing tears. And I once did it in front of Ian Wright, who didn't believe me. He was astonished when tears ran down my cheek.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Okay.
Discuss.
Shall we take a trip?
Can I just had a beige flag thought.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah. I still don't quite understand.
I was on a trip, I think it might have been in South Africa. I went on a coach trip. I think we might have been heading for Robben Island.
Oh yeah.
And they passed a house with a camper van, you know, those VW camper vans outside. And they said to this woman, "So, you'll be all right living here." And she went, "Oh, yeah." And I realised that the camper van was Sue's beige flag. I now see it was. That she defined herself by her love of camper vans.
Ah, there you go. Yes. So that was a part of the definition that we.
She was so delighted that they'd recognised her identity and were enforcing it by pointing out things she might like.
This is a thing you like. Well, that's one of the part of the definition is a character trait or habit that's viewed as, quote, extremely characteristic.
Yeah, but the trouble is with those is they become the theme of every gift and birthday and Christmas card you'll get for the rest of your life. Oh, another model of a camper van for Sue.
Well, that's why I never take up a musical instrument, because you will always get the piano tie.
Oh, the piano tie is really... I don't think I've ever had a ukulele-based...
Write that down. Giving me little ideas.
Ukulele
Ukulele. The producer is actually writing it down.
Don't
Frank.
get me a ukulele tie. Because I won't wear
I
it.
worry about themed sort of, like personalised things. There was a real... Do you remember this Vogue for vases and inscribed on it was all things that people associated with you?
No, but that sounds good. Kath,
what
my
they
partner, she did...
Obscenities all over a vase.
Well, I did get that. Jonathan Ross gave me an ironic version of that on a mug with things I didn't like.
Now, Kath drew a fabulous tree, and then on every branch there was hanging something that I loved.
That's lovely.
So there was like Johnny Cash on one, and
Tackies.
a man sitting on... this was pre-tackies.
How would she have got the purple shade? Cass is a talented artist, but that purple is a hard
Yeah, well,
one.
she used actual small photos of the things. She only drew the tree. It's a beautiful thing. I should bring in a photo of it.
Yeah.
Dope. It's my mind. This is basically my mind 20 years ago.
Was there a Doctor Who?
It was a Doctor Who thing. There's Marquis Smith hanging from a branch.
Now that I'd like to see.
Well, I'd just like to see him again.
I know.
Anyway, what was we talking about?
Beige.
Not a thing you want to hear on a radio show. What was that, eh? What is it?
I want to return to some of the...
We all want to return.
Well, yes, some of the correspondence that's been sent to us from our readers throughout the week. Do you remember we were talking...
Can I just tell you quickly, I did a photo shoot this week and we went to the wrong studio in the building, and this helpful young woman said, "Well, you can nip through this." I said, "I don't want to nip through someone else's photo shoot." She said, "It's okay, they're just looking at the whatever they look at, light box, probably not anymore." But as I walked through, there was like all the artistic director, and that was a guy who looked like he was in charge.
Yeah.
And as I went past, he just leaned in and said, "I'm a reader." It's lovely, and through we went. They're everywhere. Sorry,
I like
pray
that.
continue.
We were talking recently on the show about sort of dad remarks, and I don't think there was a sort of pejorative.
Not dad jokes.
Not dad jokes.
But
It's
dad
not
remarks,
a
yeah.
negative.
Things that my
Here's an
one
example.
was that when Cary Grant ever appeared on the telly, my dad would stand and present it like, you know that thing that Jules Holland does on Later, when he sticks out one arm, says, "Here now, and the next, and now, camera," that, and my dad would point at it and say, "From the slums of Bristol, Cary Grant." And it's just a thing, it's not a joke, it's a thing that my dad did. And dads do repeat stuff over and over. That was what it was about.
Oh, they do. Well, we've heard from Marek.
Oh, yeah.
Marek has been in touch to say, as a child, I recall having my first unsupervised bath at home. And my now late father...
That's a moment, isn't it?
Do you remember your first unsupervised bath, Frank?
I don't remember my first bath. I wouldn't remember that. But we didn't really bath in our family.
No. Wasn't it your dad who said, who got angry when a toothbrush was introduced?
Yeah, yeah. He said of my brother when he brought that into the first ever toothbrush into the house, "We've lost him."
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, I was reading you Marek's communique to us.
You were. I'm sorry. I'm inclined to interrupt.
Oh, I mean, it would be not much of a show without it. So Marek says he was having... Do you remember he was having his first unsupervised bath at home?
Yes.
And my father would stick his head into the bathroom, as any responsible parent would.
Well, is that unsupervised?
Oh, should have come to my house if you think that's unsupervised. Just to check how I was getting on. The next thing I remember is Dad shouting to Mum, "It's like the Poseidon adventure in here." 40 years or so later, I repeat the line with my kids.
Oh, brilliant.
Although they have no idea what it means,
No.
as they haven't seen the film. It's just nice to say it for a bit of nostalgia and a nod to the old man. Regards,
Lovely.
Marek. I love that, Marek. Poseidon Adventure, yes, it was one of those... Anything where there was a lot of water spillage, that was the 70s touchstone.
What was the one? See, I'm getting mixed up. What was the one when...
Shelley Winters, I believe, or Shelley... Is it Shelley Winters?
Shelley Winters, okay.
Going slightly berserk.
Oh, I thought it was... What's the one when Raquel Welch is going through someone's bloodstream in a submarine? Anyway.
Could have been a dream.
That was your dream.
Yeah, maybe.
That was his fantasy.
Your reader who you encountered has actually got in touch.
Oh.
It's Chris Kelly. He says, so there I was on Thursday shooting a commercial for a high street supermarket.
Okay.
And I look up and notice that the stage door through to the corridor has opened. I see a figure being led through, being given a sneaky shortcut. It's only Frank holding a ukulele case.
Indeed.
I can't lie, I was taken aback. I instantly introduced myself as a long-time reader, and thankfully I was given a positive reaction. So your
very
stories
much so.
line up. You get away with it this time, Frank.
Yeah.
I was made up, especially as
I
I've been there right
I
from the
told you,
beginning.
Piano is actually contacting the people
Yeah.
to see if things happened.
It's like
You can't Google it.
it's like points of view. We got in touch with them to see if this.
To see if this happened. What else does he go on?
Well, he says, "Can you imagine how gutted I was last year?" Because he says he was a long-time reader, so he's always hoped that something like this would happen, and was gutted last year when his daughter worked with you on the video for 3 Lions Christmas.
Oh,
But now he's had his moment.
He's got his fingers in all sorts
Yeah,
of pies.
truly is. It's a small world after all. What's the tune to that?
It's a small world after
Oh,
all.
yeah.
It's a lovely ride, that is. Oh, you see all the cultures of all the world.
It's a very gentle ride.
I
And I
like it.
prefer it to the roller coaster, do you?
I don't really do roller coasters. I'm very frightened of things.
Absolute radio.
Sorry, was that too dark for breakfast? Too dark for breakfast. So, Sarah Champion is up next. Do listen to her. And thank you so much for listening to us this morning. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.